Once again, I'd like to thank you, Mr. Bailey, Eon Bailey, for having me on your show.
It's always a pleasure, my brother, to reason with positive brothers about the state of African affairs.
We are in a new era of so-called holiday seasons with the advent of Kwanzaa into the fabric of American culture. And Kwanzaa is not a holiday as such. It's billed as a celebration of the first fruits of the harvest, and it has several principles, 7 in fact, that are called the 7 principles of Kwanzaa. I'd like to go through them right quickly because these principles can be applied to the discussion that we're having.
It should be applied to the discussion. Let's deal with the first principle. What is the first principle?
Umoja.
Umoja. And what that means?
That means unity.
Unity. We have to unite to get things done. Other cultures unite. The Jews unite. The Italians unite. The Chinese unite. What about you Africans? What is going on with you? You allow outside forces to come on the continent and kill your people. It's like what's happening in Libya. It's people in Libya killing black people, killing the dark-skinned Africans in Libya. America should not give them any money. Shouldn't give Libya a dime. They're killing black people inside there. Okay? And us out here, we need to unite and put our little pennies together, put everything together and come together as one force so we can get things done. Look what happened in the when Martin Luther King within that era. Look what happened. The civil rights movement. People of color unite. And let me say this to you. There has been no time when people of color unite that you have not won. You should understand that. And the rest of the world know that. So you, African people, wherever you might be, understand that too. Okay? The civil rights, apartheid. You remember apartheid, my brother?
Apartheid, of course.
What happened?
Of course. When
we unite.
The people of the country of South Africa, I like to refer to South Africa as Mono Motapa, which is his ancient name, Mono Motapa. But the people of Mono Motapa, modern day South Africa, united under the consciousness. The consciousness was what brought about the movement that propelled Nelson Mandela into the presidency after he was serving 27 years in jail for standing up against apartheid, for standing up saying, I want to be a man in my
own
land.
Country. In my land, I want to be a man. So we don't want the separation of the races. And that's what happened under apartheid. Separation of the races. And even in South Africa, they had a name that the PAC, the Pan-Africanist Congress of Azania, that was the name that the PAC called South Africa, Azania. Right? Azania, right? So all the PAC people, one love to you. ANC, one love to you, okay? All right.
That's right, that's right. The second principle is Kuji Chakalia, self-determination. And that's what we were just talking about, self-determination. People have the right to determine their own future. We have the right to define us for who we are, not as so-called African Americans, not as so-called Negroes, not as so-called colored or Indian. We have the right to define us as who we are. Who are we? Well, our nationality is Moorish. Our ethnicity is Nubian Algonquin, because many of us are mixed with the Algonquin or Ukachag, and we're out of Nubia. We're not African as such. African is an outside name of our continent of Akabu land, as America is an outside name of our continent, Guatemala or Mexim or Almoricanos.
But that is right. But for the general conversation of all our people, when you look like me and look like this brother here, you're African.
That's right. Okay. So we accept that.
Yeah.
But we need to understand what self-determination means.
That's right.
Okay, so if you don't have a basis for the foundation for truth, you don't know what, you won't understand self-determination. Because you'll think self-determination is to be able to be accepted in a culture or a paradigm that is opposed to you. So we have to understand, even though we are here in America, we are so-called African Americans, we have to be able to determine the friendship lines that we have in this paradigm and unite with those so humanity benefits from the resurrection of our consciousness. That's why we talk about Udama Akiyah. When I greet you, Lion of the New Dawn. The dawn is the resurrection of our consciousness, and the lion is the mind itself, the consciousness.
And African people, do not be afraid to claim your heritage like Cain. You see what happened to him? Cain, this boy who was running for president. He was on Piers Morgan's show, and he said he's black, he's not African, he don't want to go back that far. So when they hit him, when he found out that, hey, you some kind of African, now he wants to cry all kind of racism. We don't want you, Ken. We don't want you, we're Africans. And if you don't want to go back that far, that's on you. Okay? But once you have this complexion, you are African, whether you like it or not. And you should be proud of it. All right. What's the other principle, my brother?
That's what we also talk about. See, self-determination leads us to collective work and responsibility, which is Ujima. So you have Umoja, unity, Kuji Chakalia, self-determination, Ujima, collective work and responsibility. That is a mission. So when we talk about self-determination, it takes work.
Of course.
It takes work. Collective work.
That's
collective
right.
work. We must do research. We must understand. Then we begin to build the paradigm within our community. We talk about culture. And I just want to talk about culture for a minute because culture is important. And the reason why culture is important, culture forms the basis for your economy. What do I mean by that? Well, when you are an ethnic group, a defined ethnic group, not a so-called ethnic group, but a defined ethnic group as the Chinese are, or as the Jewish religion is, or as the Koreans are, or as some of the African nations of immigrants who come here, have a defined, they are defined ethnic groups. They have certain traits and characteristics that are
indigenous
to them. Their tradition, their culture, their food, their dress, their spirituality. So those things have items that are needed in the household. So it forms the basis of an exchange of dollars and cents so that they can buy these things for people who have them in their culture. That's what I mean when I say culture forms the basis for your economy. As African Americans, as so-called African Americans, one of the reasons why we suffer through trying to unite and stay united is that we don't have a defined culture as an ethnic group, so we don't have goods and services that are exchanged within our community. Kwanzaa is now infused in the cultural fabric of America, whereby there are certain items that we need for Kwanzaa that begins to build on that give and take, the exchange of dollars and cents in the community. So we are now beginning to build an economy in our community based upon collective work and responsibility and the identity of cultural characteristics that we can embrace to define us as a people.
And when we talk about collective work and responsibility, we need you to go Google the Black Wall Street. And the Black Wall Street, I think it was in Oklahoma, that was bombed by other ethnic groups because black people, African people were so successful. They had their own airplanes, they had their own post office, they had their own banks, they had their own taxes, they had their own bus service. They had a thriving economy.
And that was at the turn of the century. And you need to understand something about that, which is very important. The riots that resulted because of the cooperative economics that we as a people exhibited at the beginning of the 20th century. Those riots where the whites from the suburb of Greenwood, Oklahoma, the suburb of Tulsa, resulted in the United States Army
bombing,
dropping bombs for the first time in any conflict,
and its citizens,
on American people.
So the black people in Oklahoma, Tulsa, and the Black Wall Street was bombed by the American government. And now, similar to the brothers and sisters in Philadelphia, who was bombed by Gooden under the Move with the Move movement.
Right. Okay. So understand, people, when we talk about this, we talk about you got to understand the truth in what we say, because before World War I, before they dropped the bombs on Tulsa, the United States Army hadn't done any bombing of anybody. Okay, so keep that in mind. So now we go to the cooperative economics, which is the fourth principle in Kwanzaa, Ujamaa. Ujamaa, cooperative economics.
We got to pool our monies together to get things done. The Koreans do it, as we spoke about before. The Jews do it. The Italians do it. The Irish do it. The only people who do not pool their money together is black folks. Why? We're scared.
Now, we're fixing to change that, folks. We with LIWEB Television, which is a 110-channel internet television network.
Say that again. LIWeb TV?
LIWebTV.com. A 110-channel internet television network. Cooperative economics, folks.
Did you hear that?
Okay.
LIWebTV.com. 110 channels.
We're looking to bring on board, as the first tier of our employees, 10 salespeople per channel. That's 1,100 jobs, commission jobs, sales jobs, to bring corporate sponsorship and business advertisers to our network, 110-channel internet television network. So we have the ability to impact on this principle, cooperative economics. That's 1,100 jobs in every city we open out in, and they're at the forefront of the job generation, the jobs creation of LIWeb Television. So folks, you want to come on board, you want to work with us, we're worldwide television, and we're free TV. You don't have to subscribe to us.
And our number is, look at the bottom of the screen and you will see it running by, okay? LIWebTV.com. Look at the bottom of the screen and you'll see how you can contact us.
So if you're hungry, you're looking for work, you're not afraid to get out and hustle, and go knock on business doors and do presentations and learn what we do to make this successful, you can come on board with us no matter where you are in the world.
All right, my brother, what's the other principle?
The other principle is NIA, purpose.
Purpose. In life, you must have a purpose. You must have a goal. African people, this year, you must have a goal and a plan to achieve that goal. And a part of that goal should be, as we said together, coming together. Okay? Coming together to make that work. We have to stop being envious. We have to stop being jealous. These are some of the major sins, We have to stop that. We have to start thinking about cooperativeness, because what has happened, your, how we put this, it was indoctrinated into you for you not to be with your brother. The separation, it was put into you not to trust your brother. And this is why the 7 principles of Kwanzaa we are sharing with you, that you know we have a foundation. And we have a foundation that we can operate from.
And I want to expound on that purpose a little bit, because his brother talked about jealousy and envy being roadblocks in us coming together. We need to understand first and foremost that this breadth of life that we share, many of us are in one religion or another, Hebrewism, Islam, Hinduism, Christianity, etc. This breadth that we have is from a source, and it provides us with a life, and this life that it provides us with has a purpose.
That's right.
Has a purpose.
Do you know yours?
Begin with that. Begin with asking whatever creative force you believe in, what is your purpose?
What is your purpose? Do you know it?
Okay. Then when you do that and you've answered that sufficiently, you are able now to put aside that jealousy and envy that keeps us from coming together.
That's right. You need to have a plan. You need to have your own plan. You need to have your own plan so you don't jealous of your brother, you don't jealous of your sister. If you have a plan, a goal and a plan, then you have something to work towards. And understanding the bigger culture that you are a part of. And understand that you don't have any friend. Right? Because look what the president has been trying to do, and everything the no Republicans say no, even his own Democrats. So, you know, we got to give Obama the second chance. We got to put him back inside here so he can take care of business. Now he understands that he cannot negotiate too much with these no Republicans. He understands that now. So now give him the second chance so he does his thing. Principle, my brother.
So now you have Kumba.
Kumba.
Creativity. Okay, creativity, that's important because once you've heard what we said, once you feel the impact of what we say, now you can begin to, or if you haven't already begun, to use your creative intellect, your intellectual art, your intellectual creativity to see how, as the brother said, you can make your plan work.
That's right. And remember, we have been a creative force in this world. And anybody tell you that we have not done anything. We have not contributed to this world. We have not contributed to to African history, because this is what we're going to run this in African History Month too, right? that you have not created anything. Tell them the lie. Tell them we are the first university of Timbuktu. Tell them we had the first cities of bronze, Mali, Shanghai, Benin. Tell them we had open heart surgery. Tell them about Akhenaten, one God, one aim, one destiny. Tell them. Okay? Tell them about us developing the street light. Tell them about we making, Kava making so many peanut butter products. So when you're hungry and you go inside and you start using that peanut butter and say, African did that, you know. When you go to the stoplight and you see that, you say, an African did that, you know. When you go and you want to iron your clothes on the iron board, you got to say, an African did that, you know. But guess what? We did not get all the credit out of it. All other nations steal our credit the same way our culture is being stolen. And when you are positive as an African, you have all these other forces that want to come in and discredit you. That's why you see all these pundits and whatever you call them on the television trying their best to discredit President Obama. They do not want to tell you about the good things he did. We're going to touch it in the domestic policy. But let's just finish about the
Well, just in case you think what he's saying isn't true, there's a news story this week, and forgive me for not remembering this gentleman's name, of a man who's 95 years old who was in World War II at Pearl Harbor. And his accident saved a ship. And 66 years later, he is just getting the Congressional Medal of Honor for that. And he didn't get it initially because he was a Nubian, he's an African, he's a man of color. So they felt it would, back then it wouldn't look good for the world to know that an African, a black man, saved this ship of these folks from being killed. But he did. And so now, 66 years later, he's finally getting his Medal of Honor. So what he's saying is very true. So, and the only reason why this man can smile when he's getting this and be forgiving of those who kept it from him for as long is because of Imani, the last principle, faith.
Imani, faith. We have to have faith. If we as a people did not have faith, the amount of us who jumped off of the side of slave ships in the Atlantic because we did not want to come to the New World to be subjective to slavery. I tell you what, when I went to Nigeria and I flew over the Atlantic and I looked down in the Atlantic, I could feel the spirit of my ancestors. I could feel them at the bottom of the Atlantic when I was flying over to Nigeria. I could feel the spirit of my ancestors in the Atlantic, you know, and And here we are today. If it was not faith, faith in the true and living God, faith in our culture, faith in ourselves, we would not be here today. If we did not have faith, we would not have a black president, an African president. So all you African people out there who losing faith because you hear pundits saying negative things about President Obama, leave that alone. Get your faith back, because you know, as an African, once you start doing positive things, you must be discredited, because according to these other cultures, you did not do anything to make the world a positive place, which we know is a big fat lie.
Let's share this last